The November rain fell like needles against Marcus Reed's windshield as he navigated through the forgotten industrial district of Cleveland. His work truck sputtered and coughed, threatening to die right there on the cracked asphalt. Just what he needed, another expense he couldn't afford. He pulled into an abandoned gas station to check the engine, the kind of place that looked like it had been forgotten by time itself. Graffiti covered the walls. Broken bottles littered the ground. This was not a place anyone should be, especially not after dark. But as Marcus stepped out of his truck, something caught his eye. Movement near the old convenience store entrance. Two small figures huddled against the wall, and beside them, a woman smoking under the flickering remains of a neon sign. Then he saw the cardboard sign propped against a shopping cart. Twin girls, $400, good home needed. Marcus's blood ran cold. He stood there, rain soaking through his jacket, staring at words that shouldn't exist in the real world. This had to be a joke, some sick prank. But the longer he looked, the more real it became. The girls couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old. Identical faces with dark curls plastered to their cheeks. They wore matching pink jackets that were 2 sizes too small, and neither one looked up as he approached. They just sat there, arms wrapped around each other, staring at the ground like they'd given up hoping for anything good. "You reading or buying?" The woman's voice was harsh, worn down by cigarettes and hard living. She looked to be in her 30s, but life had aged her beyond her years. Marcus found his voice. "What the hell is this? What's it look like?" She flicked ash onto the pavement. "I need money. They need a home. Simple transaction." "This isn't a transaction. These are children." The woman's eyes hardened. "You think I don't know that? You think this is my first choice? Their daddy ran off 6 months ago. Left me with his kids and a mountain of debt. Social services says they'll take them eventually, but I can't feed them until eventually." "So you're selling them?" "I'm finding them a home with someone who can actually provide for them." She took another drag. $400. That's what I need to get out of this hellhole and start over. Marcus looked at the girls again. One of them, he couldn't tell which, had tears running silently down her face. The other was whispering something to her sister, probably trying to comfort her. His daughter Emma was safe at home, probably curled up with a book. She was 9 years old and had never known a day without food, without warmth, without love. These girls looked like they'd known nothing but the opposite. "I need to call the police." The woman laughed bitterly. "Go ahead. They'll put the girls in the system while they process me. Could take months to place twins. You know what happens to kids in group homes? At least this way, I can choose someone who looks decent." Marcus's hand was on his phone, 911 ready to dial. But he hesitated. He'd done a story once, back when he was still working as a journalist before the newspaper shut down. Foster care overload. Kids sleeping in offices. Teenagers running away because it was safer on the streets than in some of the homes they were placed in. "What are their names?" "Sophia and Stella. They're 7. Smart girls, mostly quiet. Won't give you much trouble." Sophia and Stella. They had names. They had lives. They were real. Who's their father? Like I said, he ran off. Probably in another state by now. His name doesn't matter anymore. Marcus knelt down in front of the girls, rain dripping from his hair. "Hi there. I'm Marcus." The girls didn't respond. They didn't even look at him. But he saw the way they pressed closer together, the way their small hands gripped each other tighter. "What happens if I don't take them?" Marcus asked quietly. The woman shrugged. "Got someone else coming by in an hour. He didn't sound as nice as you." That decided it. Marcus stood up, his mind racing. "I don't have 400 in cash. There's an ATM 2 blocks down." 20 minutes later, Marcus was counting out $20 bills into the woman's eager hand. She counted twice, then nodded. "They've got a bag of clothes in the cart. Don't know what's in there. I didn't pack it." She pocketed the money. You seem like a decent guy. Take care of them. And just like that, she walked away, disappeared into the rain without looking back once. Marcus was left standing with two traumatized children and a shopping cart containing everything they owned. Sophia? Stella? He kept his voice gentle. I'm going to take you somewhere warm and dry, somewhere safe. Is that okay? Neither girl answered. But when he slowly reached out his hand, one of them, Sophia, he'd later learn, took it with fingers as cold as ice. Emma's face when Marcus walked through the door with two soaking wet little girls would be burned in his memory forever. Dad! She set down her book, eyes wide. Who? Emma, honey. These are Sophia and Stella. They're going to stay with us for a while. His daughter, bless her heart, didn't ask the million questions that were clearly dancing behind her eyes. She just nodded slowly. Are they hungry? I made sandwiches for dinner, there's plenty. The twins still hadn't spoken. They stood in the entryway dripping rainwater onto the hardwood floor, looking around the modest house like they'd landed on an alien planet. Marcus grabbed towels and some of Emma's old clothes. Let's get you two dried off first. Okay? The bathroom routine was silent except for running water and Marcus's gentle instructions. The girls moved mechanically, doing exactly what he asked but nothing more. When Stella's towel slipped and he saw the bruises on her arm, yellow and green, days old, his stomach turned. Dinner was an awkward affair. Marcus made grilled cheese and tomato soup, comfort food that Emma loved. The twins sat at the table but didn't touch their food until Emma started eating first. It's really good, Dad, Emma said, maybe a bit too enthusiastically. The cheese is perfectly melted. Sophia picked up her sandwich, took a tiny bite, then another. Before long, both girls were eating like they hadn't seen food in days, which Marcus realized with horror might actually be true. Slow down, he said gently. There's plenty more. You don't have to rush. After dinner, Emma disappeared into her room and came back with an armful of stuffed animals. I thought maybe you'd want some friends for tonight. This is Mr. Whiskers, and this is Patches, and this rainbow unicorn is Sparkle. Sophia's eyes tracked the unicorn. It was the first thing Marcus had seen her show interest in. You like unicorns? Emma asked. When Sophia nodded slightly, Emma pressed Sparkle into her arms. Then she's yours. She's magic, you know. She keeps the bad dreams away. For the first time, Sophia's expression changed. Not quite a smile, but something softer than the blank fear she'd worn all evening. Marcus set them up in the guest room, his home office that had been collecting dust since he'd been laid off. Emma helped him make up the bed with fresh sheets and pile it with extra blankets. Will you stay? Stella's voice was so quiet Marcus almost missed it. The first words either twin had spoken. I'll be right outside in the hallway, he promised. If you need anything at all, just call for me. After he closed the door, Marcus sat in the hallway with his back against the wall, just like he'd done when Emma was little and afraid of the dark. His phone buzzed. A text from his best friend David, a lawyer. Called in a favor. We need to meet tomorrow at 7 a.m. Coffee shop on 5th. Come alone. Marcus closed his eyes. What had he done? He'd bought children, paid money for two human beings like they were property. That was illegal. Trafficking. He could lose Emma, could go to prison. But when he heard quiet crying from the guest room, muffled like the girls were trying to hide it even in sleep, he knew he couldn't have walked away. David's face was grim over his coffee cup. Marcus, I need you to tell me everything. And I mean everything. Marcus recounted the previous night in detail. The abandoned gas station. The sign. The woman who'd taken his $400 and vanished. David listened without interrupting, his lawyer face firmly in place. Okay, David said finally. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to call Child Protective Services ourselves. Right now. Before someone else does. But, no buts. We control the narrative. You found 2 children in danger and removed them from an unsafe situation. You brought them to your home temporarily with the intention of immediately contacting authorities. That's the story, and you stick to it. Isn't that lying? It's framing. And it might be the only thing that keeps you out of jail and keeps those girls from being separated and thrown into a system that's already drowning. The CPS worker who arrived that afternoon was a tired-looking black woman named Jennifer Coleman. She had the air of someone who'd seen too much but refused to become cynical about it. She interviewed the girls separately while Marcus waited in the kitchen, his stomach in knots. When she finally emerged, her expression was carefully neutral. "Mr. Reed, I need to see some identification." He handed over his driver's license. "The girls have told me about a woman they called Aunt Vanessa, said she was their father's girlfriend. She apparently left them at that gas station yesterday morning with instructions to wait for someone who wanted them." She what? According to Sophia, who's the more verbal of the two, this Vanessa person told them their father didn't want them anymore, that he'd found a new family and they needed to find a new home too. Marcus felt sick. "They're 7 years old. I'm aware." Jennifer's professional mask slipped for just a moment, showing the anger underneath. "Mr. Reed, the situation you described, finding children being offered for money, that's trafficking. Serious. But the fact that you immediately secured them and contacted authorities works in your favor. What happens now?" "Emergency custody hearing. Tomorrow morning. I'll be recommending temporary placement with you while we investigate and locate the father. You'll need a background check, home inspection, the works. Whatever it takes." Jennifer looked toward the living room where Emma was quietly reading to the twins. "You have a daughter. How does she feel about this?" "She hasn't complained once. Kids are resilient, but this is going to be hard on her too. Make sure she knows she's still a priority." That night, Marcus sat Emma down for a real conversation. "Baby girl, I need to apologize." Emma looked confused. "For what?" "I brought 2 girls into our home without asking you first. This is your home too. Your safe space. I should have talked to you." "Dad." Emma's voice was patient, mature beyond her 9 years. "Those girls needed help. You helped them. That's what you always taught me to do. But your life is going to change. We don't know how long they'll be here." Emma shrugged. "Maybe it'll be nice, like having sisters." Marcus pulled her into a hug. "When did you get so wise?" "I learned from the best," she mumbled into his shoulder. The emergency custody hearing granted Marcus temporary guardianship for 60 days while CPS investigated. The judge, a stern woman named Patricia Morrison, made it clear this was conditional. "Mr. Reed, I'm taking a significant risk here, but Ms. Coleman's report indicates those children are thriving in your care, and the alternative is placing them in an already overwhelmed group home. Don't make me regret this decision." "I won't, Your Honor." The investigation into Vanessa led nowhere. No last name, no address. The woman who'd taken Marcus's money had vanished like smoke. But the search for the girl's father was more successful. His name was Derek Fontaine, and he was located 3 weeks later in Michigan, working under the table at a construction site. When the authorities brought him in for questioning, Derek's story emerged in bitter pieces. He'd been dating Vanessa Cruz for 6 months. His ex-wife had died in a car accident 2 years prior, leaving him alone with the twins. He'd been barely holding it together, working 2 jobs, drowning in debt, struggling with depression. Vanessa had seemed like a lifeline. She moved in, helped with the girls. But she had a drug problem Derek hadn't known about. When he confronted her, she'd threatened to leave. "I told her good riddance," Derek said during his deposition, his face gray with shame. "I came home from work 3 days later and they were gone. All 3 of them. I thought Vanessa took the girls to her mother's to punish me." "You didn't report them missing?" "I called Vanessa's phone 100 times. She finally texted back saying the girls were fine and to leave her alone. I figured." He broke down. I figured they were better off. I was a terrible father. Working all the time, barely making rent. They deserved better. Jennifer Coleman sat across from him, her expression unreadable. Mr. Fontaine, your daughters were abandoned at a gas station. A stranger had to buy them for $400 to get them away from someone planning to sell them to God knows who. They've been in therapy for 3 weeks processing the trauma of thinking their father threw them away. Derek's face crumpled. I want to see them. That's not my call. But Mr. Fontaine, I have to ask, do you want custody back? The silence stretched out. I don't know, Derek whispered. I don't know if I can do it. That answer should have made Marcus relieved. Instead, it just made him sad. This was a broken man who'd lost his way, and his daughters were paying the price. The girls' therapy sessions revealed more of the story. Dr. Patricia Wong, a child psychologist specializing in trauma, met with Marcus after each session. They're processing abandonment on multiple levels, she explained. First, their mother died. Then their father pulled away emotionally. Then Vanessa, who they'd begun to see as a mother figure, literally gave them away. What do they need? Stability, consistency, someone who shows up every single day and proves through action, not words, that they're not going anywhere. Marcus was trying. Every morning he made breakfast. Every afternoon he picked them up from school. Every night he tucked them in and promised tomorrow would come. Slowly, painfully slowly, the girls began to thaw. Stella discovered she loved to draw. Marcus bought her sketch pads and colored pencils, and soon the refrigerator was covered in pictures of flowers and houses and, increasingly, stick figures labeled Emma, Dad Marcus, Sophia, and me. Sophia was more reserved, but she developed a routine of sitting next to Marcus while he worked on his laptop, applying for jobs. She didn't talk much, but her presence said she was choosing to be near him. Emma became a bridge between them. She taught them card games and braided their hair and told them stories about their mother, making the twins feel like they were part of the family history, not just recent additions. 3 months in, the 60-day custody extension was up. Another hearing was scheduled. Derek had been attending counseling and completing a parenting program. Technically, he could request the girls be returned to him. The night before the hearing, Marcus sat with both twins. Tomorrow, there's going to be a meeting with a judge. Your dad is going to be there. Sophia's face went pale. We have to go back? No one's decided anything yet. But I need to know. Do you want to see your dad? The twins looked at each other in that way they had, communicating silently. He gave us away, Stella whispered. I don't think he meant to. I think he made mistakes because he was hurting and didn't know what else to do. Did you make mistakes? Sophia asked. Marcus thought about it. Yes, I probably should have called the police immediately instead of giving that woman money. But I was scared you'd end up somewhere worse. We would have, Stella said with certainty. The hearing was tense. Derek looked thinner, older. His eyes, when he saw the twins, were full of pain. Sophia, Stella, Judge Morrison said gently. Your father is here. Would you like to say anything to him? The girls sat between Marcus and Emma, holding hands. Finally, Sophia stood up. She walked toward Derek slowly, and Marcus's heart clenched. But she stopped 3 feet away. You left us, she said. Her voice was small but steady. You let Vanessa take us away. I know, Derek's voice broke. I'm so sorry. I thought you'd be better without me. We weren't better. We were scared. I know, baby girl. I'm so sorry. Mr. Marcus didn't give up on us, even though we were strangers. Sophia looked back at Marcus. Even though it was hard and he didn't have to. Derek followed her gaze. I'm grateful to Mr. Reed for being there when I wasn't. Judge Morrison cleared her throat. Mr. Fontaine, I've reviewed your case. You've completed your counseling requirements and your parenting program. You've found stable employment and housing. By all measures, you're working toward reunification. However, She looked at the twins. These children have formed a secure attachment to Mr. Reed and his daughter. Disrupting that now could cause additional trauma. I understand, Derek said quietly. I'm proposing a gradual reunification plan. Supervised visits, increasing contact over 6 months. At the end of that period, we'll reassess based on the girls' therapeutic progress and their stated preferences. What if? Derek's voice cracked. What if at the end of 6 months, they don't want to come home? The courtroom was silent. Then we'll discuss alternative arrangements. But Mr. Fontaine, this is your chance. Don't waste it. The supervised visits started small. 1 hour at a family center with a social worker present. Derek brought coloring books and snacks, clearly nervous. The first few visits were stilted. The girls answered his questions with single words. But Derek was patient. He didn't push. He let them lead. By the 3rd visit, Stella showed him one of her drawings. By the 5th, Sophia told him about her school project. By the 10th, they were actually talking. Marcus drove them to and from each visit. Sometimes Derek would walk them out to the car, and the 2 men would exchange a few words. Thank you, Derek said one evening, for everything. I'm not doing anything special. You are, though. You're giving them stability I couldn't. Marcus chose his words carefully. You made mistakes, but you're trying to fix them. That matters. As the months passed, something unexpected happened. The visits didn't make the girls want to leave Marcus. They helped them heal from the wound of being abandoned. Dr. Wong says seeing Dad helps us understand it wasn't our fault, Sophia explained one night. That he was sick in his head and that's why he couldn't take care of us. Do you forgive him? Sophia thought about it. Maybe someday. But right now, I just want to stay here. The 6-month review hearing was bittersweet. The girls had made remarkable progress. They were thriving in school, laughing again, making friends. Their trauma was healing, though Dr. Wong cautioned it would be a lifelong process. Derek had also transformed. He'd remained sober, kept his job, and followed every requirement to the letter. But when Judge Morrison asked him what he wanted, his answer surprised everyone. I want what's best for my daughters, and I don't think that's me. Not full-time. He looked at Marcus. I'd like to request Mr. Reed be considered for permanent custody, with generous visitation for me. I want to be in their lives, but they need him. They need that stability. Marcus's eyes stung. Judge Morrison reviewed the file. Mr. Reed, how do you feel about this? I'd be honored, if the girls want it. Both Sophia and Stella nodded vigorously. Then I'm granting Mr. Reed permanent legal custody with visitation rights for Mr. Fontaine. We'll structure this as a guardianship rather than a full adoption, preserving Mr. Fontaine's parental rights while ensuring stability for the children. The paperwork finalizing the guardianship took another month. During that time, Marcus had long conversations with both Derek and the girls about what their future would look like. Derek would visit twice a month. The girls would spend some holidays with him. He'd remain their father, but Marcus would be their guardian, the one who made decisions about school and healthcare and daily life. It's like having 2 dads, Stella said one evening, working on her homework. Is that okay? Marcus asked. Yeah, it's weird, but okay. Emma, who'd been quietly coloring in the corner, spoke up. I think it's nice. More people to love you. She was right. The girls didn't need to choose between Derek and Marcus. They could have both in different ways. The day the final paperwork was signed, Marcus took everyone out to dinner. Emma, Sophia, Stella, and even Derek, who drove down from Michigan. To family, Marcus raised his glass of soda. In all its complicated forms. To family, everyone echoed. Derek pulled Marcus aside afterward. I need you to know something. That woman, Vanessa, she's been arrested. They found her in Arizona, running a similar scam with other kids. Marcus felt cold. How many? They're still investigating, but at least 3 other children. Your intervention probably saved more kids than just mine. The weight of that, of how close the girls had come to something even worse, settled over Marcus like a blanket. I'm glad they caught her. Me too. Derek paused. And Marcus? I'm glad it was you. That night. I'm glad a good man found them. Over the next year, they settled into their new normal. The girls called Marcus Dad Marcus, to differentiate from Dad Derek. Emma took her role as big sister seriously, teaching them everything from how to ride bikes to how to stand up to bullies. Derek came for his visits, sometimes staying for dinner. The relationship between him and Marcus evolved from awkward to friendly. They'd both loved these girls, both failed them in different ways, and both were committed to doing better. Sophia joined the school art club. Stella tried out for soccer. They made friends, attended birthday parties, had sleepovers. They became just kids. But they still had hard days. Days when memories surfaced. Days when fear that this was temporary crept back in. On those days, Marcus would sit with them and remind them of the facts. You live here. This is your home. I'm not going anywhere. And slowly they believed him. The story of how Marcus found the girls eventually leaked. A reporter from the local news got wind of it and wanted to do a piece on the man who saved twins from trafficking. Marcus initially refused. This isn't about me being a hero. I did what anyone should do. But David convinced him otherwise. Think about it. Your story could help. Could make people pay attention to what's happening with overwhelmed social services. Could prevent other kids from falling through the cracks. The interview aired on a Thursday evening. Marcus kept it simple, focused on the systemic issues rather than sensationalizing the girls' trauma. He talked about how the foster care system was underfunded, how caseworkers were drowning in files, how children were waiting months for placement. The response was immediate. The phone at CPS rang off the hook with people wanting to help, offering to foster, to donate, to volunteer. A local foundation set up a fund for emergency child placements. 3 new group homes opened in the county, reducing wait times. Jennifer Coleman called Marcus personally. You started something good here, but not all the attention was positive. Some people accused him of white saviorism. Others questioned his motives. A few conspiracy theorists claimed the whole thing was staged. Marcus tried not to read the comments, but some still got through. Dad. Emma found him staring at his phone one evening. What's wrong? Just people saying things. It's fine. Emma was 12 now, old enough to understand. They don't know you. They don't know Sophia and Stella. Their opinions don't matter. When did you get so smart? I told you. I learned from the best. The girls themselves handled the attention with surprising grace. When their school did a special assembly about family diversity, both Sophia and Stella participated, sharing their story in age-appropriate terms. Sometimes families are born, Sophia said into the microphone, and sometimes they're built. Ours was built, and that makes it just as strong. The applause was thunderous. 5 years after that rainy November night, Marcus stood in his backyard watching the girls, now 12, play soccer with Emma, who was home from college for the weekend. So much had changed. Marcus had found work again, this time as a freelance writer covering social issues. He'd written extensively about foster care reform, using his platform to push for change. Derek had rebuilt his life too. He'd remarried a kind woman named Sarah who embraced the complicated family dynamic. The girls spent every other Thanksgiving with him and Sarah. The burgers are ready, Marcus called out. Everyone gathered around the picnic table. Emma and her girlfriend, Jasmine. Sophia and Stella, no longer the terrified children from that parking lot. Derek and Sarah, who'd driven down for Emma's birthday celebration. And Marcus's new partner, Michael, a social worker he'd met during one of his advocacy projects. I want to make a toast, Emma announced, raising her lemonade. To my dad, who taught me that family isn't just who you're born with. It's who you choose to show up for every single day. Marcus's eyes stung. To family. To family, everyone echoed. Later that night, after everyone had gone home or to bed, Sophia and Stella found Marcus on the back porch. "Can we talk to you?" Sophia asked. "Of course. What's up?" The twins sat on either side of him. They were almost teenagers now, growing into themselves, but in this moment they looked young again. "We wanted to thank you," Stella said. "We know we don't say it enough. You don't need to." "Yes, we do," Sophia interrupted. "We were talking about it tonight, about how different our lives could have been. If you'd driven by 5 minutes earlier or later, if you'd called the police instead of doing what you did." "I think about that too," Marcus admitted. "How random it all was." "Maybe it wasn't random," Stella said. "Maybe it was meant to happen. All of it. Even the bad parts. Because they led us here." "Do you really believe that?" Both girls nodded. "We do now," Sophia said. "Because we're happy. We're safe. We have a family, 2 families, really. And none of that would have happened if you'd walked away." Marcus pulled them both into a hug. "I couldn't walk away. The moment I saw you 2 sitting there, holding hands like you were each other's only hope, I knew I couldn't." "We were each other's only hope," Stella whispered. "Until we found you." They sat together on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the darkness. 3 people who'd found each other in the worst moment and built something beautiful from the wreckage. 10 years after that November night, Marcus received an invitation. Sophia and Stella were graduating high school, and they wanted him there, along with Emma, Derek, Sarah, and Michael, who Marcus had married 3 years earlier. The ceremony was held in the school auditorium, packed with proud parents and restless younger siblings. Marcus sat between Michael and Emma, scanning the rows of graduates for 2 familiar faces. When Sophia's name was called, she walked across the stage with confidence, accepting her diploma and the announcement that she'd received a full scholarship to art school. The family section erupted in cheers. Stella followed 10 minutes later, her scholarship for pre-med announced to more screaming and applause. At the family celebration afterward, Sophia pulled Marcus aside. "I made something for you." She handed him a wrapped package. Inside was a painting. It showed a rainy parking lot, a girl's hands reaching up toward a stranger's outstretched hand. Above them, the sky was breaking into light. "It's called The Choice," Sophia explained, "because that's what you did. You chose us when no one else would." Marcus couldn't speak past the lump in his throat. Stella joined them. "We both got into the same university. We could have gone to different schools, but we wanted to stick together. You 2 have always been a team, because you taught us that family means showing up for each other, no matter what." That evening, as the party wound down, Marcus found himself on the porch again with Derek. "You raised good kids," Derek said quietly. "We raised good kids. You did your part too. I almost lost them. If it wasn't for you. If it wasn't for you choosing to do the work, to be present in their lives in the way you could be, they wouldn't be as whole as they are. They needed both of us, Derek. In different ways." Derek nodded, accepting the truth of it. Inside, the girls' laughter rang out as Emma showed them old photos on her phone. 3 sisters by choice, bound by love rather than blood. Marcus thought about that night 10 years ago, about $400 in $20 bills, about a split-second decision to not walk away. People still asked him if he'd been scared, if he'd worried about the consequences, if he'd known how it would turn out. The truth was simpler than people wanted to hear. He saw 2 children who needed help, and he helped them. Everything that came after, the legal battles, the healing, the beautiful, complicated family they'd built, that was just what happened when you chose to show up. Not everyone's story had a happy ending. Marcus knew that. He'd covered enough social issues to understand how rare their outcome was. How many children never got rescued. How many families never healed. But this story, their story, had beaten the odds. And maybe, just maybe, it would inspire someone else to not walk away when they saw someone in need. To make the hard choice. to show up, because families weren't just born. Sometimes they were built, one choice at a time. Author's note: this story is inspired by real issues facing children in overwhelmed social service systems. If you suspect a child is being abused or endangered, please contact local authorities or the National Child Abuse Hotline. Every call matters. Every child deserves safety, love, and a family who shows up for them, no matter how that family is formed. If this story moved you, please share it. Not for views or recognition, but because somewhere out there, a child is waiting for someone to choose them, to not walk away, to give them their chance at a different ending.